Beautiful Saturday afternoon here in Bowling Green, Ohio, and we appreciate your attendance and your support of BGSU athletics. And this is an important project. These projects that you just saw, the athletic training room getting renovated. This room, the athletic training room, the sports medicine room, these are the busiest rooms in our department. And all 425 student athletes come to walk through these doors every single day. This one in the athletic training area. So these are important parts of, and it's not just about football, even though we have Coach Leffler here to speak, and you saw some of the other coaches here as well. This is about our entire 18 sports. So we appreciate you coming and listening to us today. We have a couple speakers going to come up and talk about what we use this room for, and we've talked about it. We don't want to call it a weight room. It's just not a weight room. This is a sports performance center. This is a lab. If you leave Missouri, you've been in a few labs, right? This is a lab in here. This is where our student athletes come to get conditioned and ready to play and compete for championships. So first, I'm going to introduce Allison Papenfoos. She is a former student athlete here. She's still pretty athletic, but a women's basketball player, one of our assistant strength coach, and she can put you all through a workout if you want afterwards. But you can say what teams you are strength coach for, because I don't know them all.
Perfect.
Allison, everyone.
So great introduction from them. Thank you all for coming today. We really appreciate it. Basketball player here for 4 years. I actually have both my degrees from here. I graduated with my undergrad in applied health science and then my master's in public health from here. So double degree from here. Fell in love with strength and conditioning kind of all the way through. Originally, my freshman year, I came in and I played for Kurt Miller. And those of you that know Kurt know that he challenges you in every way. And for me, I fell in love with the fact that no matter how bad my practice was, no matter how many times I got told I was the worst player in the world, the bar was still 45 pounds and I still had to move it. So everything was the same in here. Things were structured. I came to school, I wanted to be a doctor. Organic chemistry happened. I'm not a doctor. Kenny Goodrich was my boss here, worked here forever. His first day here, he told me, you're going to be a strength coach. 3 years later, I'm asking him for internships. Started in here, started working in here, got my master's, went to Frostburg State, a little Title III school out in Western Maryland. From there, went to Indiana, and then when the call came, I came back quickly. The thing about strength and conditioning that I love is I fell in love with this sport. 45 pounds is always 45 pounds. But at the end of the day, I fell in love with strength and conditioning more than I fell in love with the sport. And I don't want my athletes to be like me. I was, for all intents and purposes, Coach Ty's here, I was the goon. I was as close to a goon as you're going to get in women's basketball, and that was my job. But I forgot about it. I forgot about the skill work. So with how the field changes and how we continue to grow, it's not just me coming back to be like, hey, we're going to get huge and strong, and that's all we care about. No, we care about how you can move on the floor. The field is changing, so when you're looking at hockey, you're looking at their biomechanical advantages and disadvantages. Same with basketball. My men's basketball freshman, I work men's basketball, which is why I look like this, because I'm headed straight back over to sit on the bench. We work on their lateral quickness. We work on their jump shots, making sure they all need to get stronger, but where do they need to get stronger at? It's not just big and strong. I came back because that was the opportunity to build that more. And it wasn't just, hey, we're going to get huge, we're going to get big and strong. It was, we're going to adapt you to be the best player you can be for your sport. We're going to make sure that we work injury-wise and how things fit together and how we can help with that. I love this community. I'm couldn't be happier to be back. Bought a house, everything about this place, continuing to build this program and continuing to build this community is what I'm all about. I absolutely couldn't ask to be in a better place.
Awesome. Thanks, Allison. Allison said goon. Coach Ty, Coach Eigner, is there goons in hockey still? No. Not anymore. They don't let you do that. But Coach Eigner, Coach Willis, say hello. Coach Willis is our softball coach. Coach Eigner, hockey coach, who's got an important game tonight. So thank you for taking time out of your busy days to be with us today. But we're going to have Coach Leffler come up and talk. Obviously, when you may think, when you think weight room, you know, this is for the football team. But like I said earlier, this is 18 sports, 425 student athletes. We just had the head football coach who's been around a few places, seen a few strength and conditioning centers. He wanted to talk about how important it is to his program, and our program. Scott Leffler, everyone.
First, I'd like to welcome everybody and I really thank everyone for being here. This project is really, really important to us. Really important to myself, really important to our staff, really important to our administration. There's two things that I'm extremely passionate about right now that we need to upgrade. Number one, nutrition, without a doubt, all right? Last year we raised $100,000 on our own to help feed our team better. And this year we're going to raise $200,000. And the next year we're going to raise $300,000. I've been a part of places where the budget for one football team is roughly $2.75 million for just food. So we're going to get this thing upgraded to help our players get to the best possible place that they can possibly get to. The second thing that is an absolute huge critical deal for our success as a football team, as a hockey team, as a basketball team, is improving this place right here. This place has got to improve, and it's got to take the next step in the so-called arms race, which I'm going to get into here in a second. If you go upstairs and you look at all the doors, and this is the only room actually because the other sports use this, you're going to see all this moon stuff, and you're going to see all these things about going to the moon. Our new theme here is we're going to the moon. All right, we're going to take this place to the moon. If you remember back whenever you were in history class, all right, May 25th, 1961, when President Kennedy got in front of Congress and said, we're going to be the first people to ever get a person to the moon. All right, and we're going to do it by 1970. We're going to make sure that becomes a goal. If you really look at their plan and how they got things done, all right, it's very similar to where we're at right now. If you go back to May 25th, 1961, all right, NASA was at the all-time low. There was major controversy if we should even do this. They were going, okay, we should spend all this millions of dollars and help poverty and what all that. Regardless, President Kennedy had enough leadership and enough charisma to look at everyone, we are going to the moon. Doesn't matter what it takes, we're going to get there. And what's our moon? What do we look at as our moon? Our moon, number one, is the MAC championship. We are getting back to the MAC championship. Come hell or high water, that is getting done. Number two, whenever we look at what's our analogy to the moon, graduation. And not just graduate, take that degree, walk into a business and dominate in your field. And then number three, our vision of the moon is to make sure that all the life lessons that you learn from football and all these other great sports, that you can go out and you can be a better person, better father, better leader in the community. So somehow, some way, we're going to get to this moon. We've got people in here that have been to the moon. Haven't you been to the moon, man? You have been to the moon. There's a lot of people in here. You've been to the moon. You follow me? You've been to the moon. All right? You've won the MAC championships. We've won national championships. We've won conference championships. And this is what happens when you get to the moon. All right? Very similar to the 3 astronauts that landed there that first time. All right? Whenever they got out and Neil Armstrong looked down at Earth, he had a total different perspective of what the Earth looked like. Total different perspective. When you get to our moon, Cal, and you've been there before, when you're looking down at Earth, you're looking at all those things that it took to get there. You're looking at all the facilities, all the people, every single detail mattered to get to the moon. All right? You remember how hard it was. All right? So whenever we look at this thing, we're going, how do we get there? All right? Our business model, last year when we talked about it, whenever I got this job, all right, was to hire the best staff in the Mid-American Conference, which we did. That is mission control to us. That is mission. We did that. We've got the best coaches, no doubt about it. We got the best strength coach without a question, all right? And the strength coach is, sorry, Allison, Jake, you follow me? The best, hands down, not even close, all right? The second part of our business model is that we had to identify our current astronauts. We had to identify. This year what we did was we found who was in, who was out, etc., etc. Number three, we had to start and lay the foundation of our culture. We had to do that, all right, and that's begun. Number 4, all right, is we had to find a way, come hell or high water, being 3 and 9 for the last couple of years, we had to find a way to get the #1 recruiting class in the Mid-American Conference here. All right, we slipped, we got to 2 or 3, it matters which site you look at, all right, but we're going to go get 2 more guys and we're going to get #1 by February 5th, I can promise you that. Our last part of the business model, which is by far, and that's why you're here today, player development. Player development. This thing is all about the player. That's why whenever someone talks to me, if we can find a way to get better nutrition here, let's do it. If we can find a way to get a better facility to get these guys and girls bigger, stronger, and faster, let's do it. Everything's about the player. That training room that's getting redone right now, it's got to get redone because that's where those kids live. They live in the training room. They live in the weight room. All right? They got to eat right. All right? So anything that we can do to upgrade our players in terms of nutrition, in terms of where they train, in terms of where they rehab, we've got to do it. All right? Now, let's talk about this arms race. There's an arms race out there, and it is ridiculous. All right? And I've been at those places. Ridiculous. How about this? Can you imagine walking into to go recruiting, and you walk in and there's a bowling alley. There's a putt-putt golf. There's waterfalls. There's this weight room right here, double it, triple it, and it's only for football. All right? You can go on and on and on and on about the fluff that takes place in this arms race. Because that's what it is. It's an arms race. It's about how can we get and attract athletes to come to your university. Number 1, you got to have a great campus. You got to have great academics. But here's the plain and simple. They want to be able to walk into a place and they go, wow, I can see myself living there 16, 18 hours a day, which they do. All right, so how is the MAC going to handle this arms race? How are we going to handle this arms race? Here's the deal. You can take all that fluff, all right? You can take all that fluff, all right? I've been at those fluff places, and I've been at other places where we've walked in and killed those fluff teams because at the end of the day, all right, all that fluff is irrelevant. That's recruiting and all that other things. But there are some important things. And what the MAC needs to do, and what we're doing here through the leadership of Bob, Kit, and all these coaches, is we need to be the absolute very best in the Mid-American Conference on what's important. So what's important? Nutrition. Feed our team the very best we possibly can. And number 2, give them the best training facility in the United States of America. Do it. Why not? Because here's the deal. When I walk into your kid's house, I sit down and I go, we're going to develop you. We're going to maximize. We're going to do everything in our power to make you a great football player, great man. We're going to get your degree. We're going to make you, life after football, the best. So whenever you do that, and you're promising the kid the best, that's why I'm so passionate about this. Whenever you walk into a facility, it should be the best. Because that kid instantly goes, if you're telling me this, it should be the best. So that's why this project is so critical. This project is so critical, number 1, to develop our players, number 2, to recruit the best players, and number 3, you see that guy right there, Kevin Tolbert? You see Allison? All right? This is what happened last year. All right? You see these new net machines right here. They weren't here. And I think there was 2, Kevin, when we walked in the door. 2. These 4. All right? We had a gentleman, all right, that got hurt in this practice, and it was the ugliest thing I've ever seen in my life. It was bad. I, for the first time in my career, literally almost threw up, went over, and I thought the kid broke his neck. My first one that I've ever been a part of. I go, there's no question the kid broke his neck. And because of Kevin Tolbert and buying right here these extra neck machines, it saved the kid's life. The kid came back and goes, the only reason I'm alive is because of Kevin Tolbert. Didn't break his neck. It's the grossest thing I've ever seen because of training and because we have a facility. We need to take this facility to the moon. This needs to upgrade. Number 1 for our kids, number 2 for recruiting, without a doubt. It needs to take the next step, and anything that we can do to help our players, that's not fluff. All right, Bob, I don't need 10 extra jerseys and all this other crap. We need the best nutrition and the best facility for our kids, because that's what we're here for, our kids, no one else. Appreciate your time. Go Falcons.
You got that on tape, right? No new uniforms.
I'm good, Bob. Just weight room and nutrition,
We
man.
went from 3 helmets down to 2 last year.
I'm good.
Should we go down to 1?
I'm good. Hey, believe it or not, I'm good.
He talks about the arms race, and it is, if you read the Toledo Blade, I think Kyle Rowland published an article yesterday about budgets again, and I'm like, where did this come from? He interviewed me during Media Day back in July, and he finally put this article out, and I was quoted as saying, you know, Ohio State's football budget is bigger than Bowling Green's entire athletic department budget. It's true. What he didn't put in there was that I also said it's bigger than all the MAC schools' entire athletic department budget, not just Bowling Green. It's the football budget at Ohio State is bigger than every MAC school's entire athletic department budget. There's a lot of fluff in college athletics nowadays. Again, we're talking about the core of the student athlete, developing them as a whole athlete. You know, the athletic training room here in the strength and conditioning room. It's not about the fluff. It's about what they need. Allison said it again. You know, Coach Leffler was here. You're going to go over the men's basketball game. I think most of you are. If you saw Daquan Plowden as a freshman to what he is today, he's a grown man now today. And he hasn't lost, you know, some coaches say, I don't want him to get stiff. I don't want him to lose their jump shot. I would venture to say that Daquan's improved his jump shot, improved his strength, his rebound, and everything about him. And that's because of Allison and the team here. Next up, we have a new member of our staff who just started in the fall, Kenny, who Allison talked about a little bit, left us for Michigan State, so we went out and got the next best guy, right?
Absolutely.
And this Jake Roy came to us from upstate South Carolina, and is doing a great job working with Kevin and Allison, and he's running the shop here. Director of Strength and Conditioning, Jake Roy.
Thank you so much. I can't thank you enough for coming and being here and being a part of this. The one thing is my background. I came here in October. October 14th was my actual first day here. My background, I started way back in 2007 at Oregon State. From Oregon State, I went to the University of Memphis, then to the St. Louis Cardinals. From the St. Louis Cardinals, went to Southern Illinois. From Southern Illinois to the San Francisco Giants. Then to Brown University, and at Brown University worked as a consultant a little bit, working a little bit with the Boston Red Sox and the Boston Bruins, and then from there went and helped a buddy open up a facility, and then went to South Carolina upstate, and now I'm here. I love this place. My wife loved this place. I love what it represents. I love what Bowling Green State is. I remember playing the video game, and I'm Bowling Green. I remember playing NCAA football, I'm Bowling Green. We come to do this. One thing is, when I got here and had a conversation and talked about one of the questions they asked me is, what would you do with the facility? And I have to be honest with you, we are behind. We are far, far behind. Our technology, our understanding, our knowledge of how the human body works is so far advanced, they now make bars that ergonomically are adjusted to fit people's wrists, so that they can not only punch better being an offensive lineman, they can pass better being a basketball player to do that. There are bars for squatting that are meant to deload the spine and adjust weight so that people with different deficiencies and issues that we go through can not only protect their back, protect their hips, protect their knees, and not have an issue if we don't have to change equipment. The reality is of this room, with the racks the way it is, we can safely train 30 athletes. We talk about the whole facility as a whole, the way it's set up, we can safely and efficiently train 50 when it comes down to it. The reality is we could get football and hockey in here and we're going to struggle with the rest. Okay? My staff is outstanding. They're innovative, they're creative. They are doing things, working with teams, and we're doing it. 3 out of 4 fall teams went to the championship this year. 3 out of 4. We're doing things right. We're doing things great. The problem is when the equipment and the facility becomes the issue, we need to fix that. Okay? The thing is this, the bones of this room, the way it's set up, the skeleton that makes up this facility is the best in the MAC. It's the best. The reality is with this, we can only train 30, train 50 as a whole. Now, with this new facility, we go from being able to train 30 where we can train 80. The other part too is this room then grows and expands to where we can safely train 120. 120 athletes. That's the football team, that's the hockey team, baseball team, and golf. We can get in this room and train them all within a group. It changes everything about us. The other part too that goes into this, the way we think, the way we process, workouts are getting more and more individualized. Someone asked me about the board. That's for posture pictures. We're looking at how a person is structurally and anatomically put together so when they go to the workout, all of our athletes, no matter the sport, no matter the person, has their own individualized training program when it comes down to it. The other part too is that we'll also address needs to keep them out of the training room and also on the field, on the court, on the ice, whatever it is, to do that. We need to change and adjust with that. We are. We're headed in the right direction. We're doing it. We just need a little help when it comes down to it. The other part too, which makes this even more fun working with my staff and going into this project and doing it, is that our athletes are wanting it. They're absorbing it. They're taking in the information. They're learning about not only how they're putting together, but how their bodies function. Number one goal when we talk about strength and conditioning is to learn. Okay? We're going to learn each other. We're going to learn how we're put together. We're going to learn how we move, how our cerebral cortex fires and moves things and does that. This new room will allow us to be better at it when it comes to that. Second thing, every athlete that leaves this room needs to leave smarter every day. They got to be educated. So when a coach says, hey, listen, your posture's really bad, you're not getting low enough, the athlete goes, listen, I'm sitting down on that ground ball. I'm right down there and into it. The reality is they may be hunched forward, not sitting down. This room is a vast pool of knowledge to make athletes better. We need help when it comes to that. The other part too is my staff is going out seeking information and doing things to learn how to stretch better, learn how to be a part of it better. We're reaching out to nutritionists like Ready Nutrition to take advantage of that. And what's really cool is I could spend my entire 5 minutes on just Ready Nutrition and how the drink was created and how to do that. And if you want to know, I'll gladly fill you in. The neck machines are a perfect example of how this environment, this industry, this strength and conditioning is changing because we are saving lives. Hockey players, they skate 22 to 25 miles an hour and come to a sudden stop. This is critical to their training to keep them on the ice when it does that and do the integrity of it. Band training and how we do it, just how the racks are set up and all that stuff is critical because then we're not trying to force 5 guys onto a rack. When it comes to it, we can divide them up and split it. We are doing great things here at Bowling Green. We're competing hard. We've got great student athletes. We've got great personalities that are doing it, and what's nice is I've got a staff that supports it and is a part of it. I can't thank you guys enough for being here. I can't thank you enough for taking the time because of the weather and all that stuff. I really, really appreciate it from no end. And the reality is this. My staff is so aggressive at gaining knowledge and using what we have to be better that we are changing athletes every day. Our injury rates are on the decline. Our performance is going up in all sports. We are doing great things here, but I think they can be better with your help. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Inventing anything, but we have to be innovative with our small budget. This is the way we get things done, working with partners like Ready Nutrition. So those our student athletes love that. Scott and Kevin pointed out our net machines here, which I haven't used yet, but will. That was funded by Tom Sheehab's first pledge payment, these neck machines. Tom Shehab, please wave your hand and your family there. Thank you very much. Again, the time is now. We talked, they mentioned it this fall, we had 2 out of 3 teams in championships, or 3 out of 4 teams in championships, excuse me. We're on the cusp of great things here at BGSU, and we're going to continue to get better, I promise you that. We're working hard to be innovative and fund these projects. We need your help. We appreciate your consideration. We're going to ask you to have our development staff follow up with you after this meeting because this is important. Again, this affects 425 student athletes, getting them ready to compete for championships. And they are here a lot of the time during the day. This place opens up at 5 a.m. and closes about 8 p.m. This is one of our most used facilities in our department. So again, thank you for being here today. I know we have a basketball game to get to, but we wanted to open up to any of the questions that you might have heard today that's provoked the thought that you want to ask any questions. Lee?
We're talking about teaching and learning, and you mentioned the situation with the student athlete. I started being faculty athletics rep in '97, and we cleaned out my office. I found a set of minutes from a coaches meeting where we were bragging about the overall grade point average being a 286. So I say this to ask you, what's our grade point average today?
Fall
I know you know
semester.
this.
Fall semester just ended. Did
Yeah.
we 3-3-5? Is that what it was? 3-3-5. So
So,
brains and brawn.
right, exactly.
Huh?
Not only are we helping to support their knowing what their bodies are doing, but we're supporting what Coach Leffler said, they're going out into the world and being mentally prepared, academically prepared to do that. And that's one of the reasons I love being faculty athletics rep for 20 years. I'd do it again in an instant, and you're doing it right. You're doing it well.
Thank you. Thank you.
To add on to that, if you don't mind.
No, you said a few words in that speech there that I'm like, what's he talking about? Parts of the body that I don't know about. Go ahead.
Part of what helps us as far as strength and conditioning do what we do is we've got a group of interns from exercise science. The other part too is if you notice each rack has an iPad on that runs our velocity-based training as well as helps us do our assessments of day-to-day stuff when it comes to that. Our students are the ones that are deciphering it. Our students are the ones that are putting out our coaching reports for us so that we can adjust not only every month, every week, but every day we adjust to that. And I'll gladly go into greater detail about velocity-based training another time, but you're absolutely right. And guess what? Exercise science, most of our student athletes are in that, and they are a great help to do that, and some of them want to even produce research off of that stuff. So you're absolutely right.
Good, good. Any other questions? Well, I encourage you to visit with our strength coaches, the coaches that are here. Outstanding people who are continuing to push our student athletes. You can look at the aerial view of what it could look like in here. Check out this one to be the best. Poster board, we put some of the, Toledo, Miami, Central Michigan just upgraded theirs. And again, it's an arms race in the MAC still, no question. But our arms race is within reason. And again, hopefully you don't think we're asking too much to improve this room for the good of our student athletes. So thank you for coming today. We appreciate your support. Go Falcons.